Oh, the dirt. The dirt's too good. I'm gonna have to go up and do another lap and not go to work today. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, on this trail, this bike feels amazing, like better than a pedal bike. I'm out on an e-bike today. Oh my gosh. So this is the Pivot Shuttle SL. It's actually not a very heavy bike. From all the e-bikes I've ridden, which I've only ridden a handful, this is by far the lightest weight e-bike. And you can feel it when you're riding. But I just wanted to start my ride out here on the road like I do every ride. I just don't normally film it because it's just the pavement. But getting to the trailhead from my house on the road is significantly faster, obviously, right? So I'll bet it's a third of the time. So, you know, that's pretty nice to just go like 18, 19, 20 miles an hour on the road without using that much effort. My heart rate right now is 112. My max heart rate is 195. So I'm still in basically recovery. I haven't hit my zone 2 yet. So I'm gonna bring you on a first impressions ride today. You know, I don't do these very often. They end up being a little longer videos. It's not like a bike review because I really don't know that much about e-bikes at all. And so, and I also don't know much about the Shuttle. This is a size medium. I'm 5'8", and it feels kind of big. This is a very big medium. I think I remember seeing the reach on this is like 465 millimeters. In any case, come along for this ride with me today. I'm going to talk about kind of who I think e-bikes are for, why guys like me, I'm 41 years old. I ride 4 or 5, sometimes 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, but I ride quite a bit. Almost every day it feels like. Before work, or you know, like on Tuesday I rode in the afternoon with my daughter. But anyway, who e-bikes are for, you know? Does it fit in my life as a guy who's, you know, I'm fit and I'm active. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We're gonna talk about all sorts of fun stuff today, so stick around. This video is sponsored by Lab Austere hip packs. We'll talk about them in this video as well. This part of my ride, we have this big fire road. It's not very steep, but this big fire road that kind of starts out the ride once you get on the dirt. And for this section, it's wide open. I mean, you can just, I leave it in the turbo setting. I don't know if the Pivot calls it turbo, but it's the highest setting. And you can just go. Hey, good morning. Anyway, I mean, like I'm slowing down significantly here. Kind of slow down to get around the hiker, the jogger, and the other guy riding. Because man, you can just blast by people on the uphill. It's insane. So let's talk about etiquette real quick. This will be, I mean, I'm going to talk as much about e-biking as I am the Pivot today, I think, because look, we've all seen these e-bikes out on the trail. Most of my friends own one by now. They use it for their recovery day or for when they go do high alpine, really sketchy terrain that usually indicates very steep, demanding climbs, or hike-a-bike is the term they use, right? So we have to go hike a bike, you know, an e-bike either eliminates the hiking or significantly lessens it. So on these fire roads, I think you can throw it in turbo or whatever the highest mode is on your e-bike. This one's the pink lights. When you're on pink, you're in the highest setting. And you really feel that, I mean, that wattage, that effort. You can lower your effort and still just boogie up the trail, right? But here in a second, we're gonna turn on to some single track, and that's where it's like, you know, kind of e-bikes can get a bad rap there a little bit, because these are multi-use, meaning hikers, runners, mountain bikers, horses. These are multi-use trails and they're multi-direction trails. So for those who need a reminder in etiquette, uphill traffic has the right of way, unless on a bike, unless you run into a hiker or a runner, and then you yield to them, right? And then horses, of course, always have the right of way. And downhill traffic yields to everyone, right? So the difficulty and my gripe about e-bikes, I guess, has been, normally I'd be climbing right now at probably 5 or 6 miles per hour, maybe 7 miles per hour, depending on how demanding the elevation gain is, right? But I could probably ascend, go up. I don't know, there's some deer. A little mama and a baby deer. I could probably climb at 20 miles at the max that this would allow, 18, 19, 20 miles per hour in a lot of these sections. So if I'm climbing at 15 to 20 miles per hour, it just doesn't give that downhill person enough time. So like on these corners where you can't see quite as well, you got to slow down a little bit. So look, the e-bikers have a new level of responsibility out on the trail. In my short experience of riding this e-bike, but also just in my understanding, I think you're going so fast, you really got to be aware of what's ahead of you. And that's the other thing, is like, I mean, on an e-bike, you actually sometimes have to grab your brakes on the uphill for a sharp, 90-degree or larger turn. So yeah, it's incredible. So the other things about e-bikes, that's the etiquette portion. The other thing about e-bikes is who this bike is for, who an e-bike is for. It's like, man, I think about my dad who just turned 70. He's had some back problems. He had a herniated disc. So he's had some back problems and a few other little things, and he's not getting out biking anymore. I mean, the days that he does yard work or moves a couple bags of mulch around the yard, he tells me that's his workout. And look, I think my dad ought to get out here on an e-bike and experience this beautiful nature, this beautiful canyon that we're in. It rained last night a little bit, and just kind of wish you guys could smell through the GoPro right now. It just smells, the air is crisp and clean, and it's just beautiful up here. And what a great way to get someone out on this trail who otherwise, I guess my dad could come on a hike up here, right? But see, just did a little braking right there to make that turn. That's so funny. That's the weirdest thing. So someone like my dad, the elderly, who are no longer very fit, it makes sense. So people who are fit, does an e-bike make sense for them? And I can think of a bunch of my friends, Doug and Zach and Tyler and Jason and Lance and the other Doug, Sam, who's actually a mountain bike coach. So he's, all these guys are very fit, high level mountain bikers, very high level. And they all have e-bikes. And I think they use them for two different applications, right? Number one, it gets them to the rowdiest trails and terrain that normally requires hiking your bike to get there. And I'm sure they still have to hike their e-bike in some scenarios, right? But for these really high alpine, steep trails, that e-bike makes a trail that was worth doing, 2 or 3 times a year, worth doing 2 or 3 times a month, and riding it 10 times or a dozen times, because now the level of access has just increased by this e-machine, right? So I think all my friends own e-bikes for that reason. And then number two, you know, Doug Ovard really is riding 6 days a week. I mean, the guy, he's probably, I don't know how old Doug is. He's probably 50 or between 50 and 55 is my guess. Maybe older, I don't know. He's got kids he's got grandkids, you know. He might be close to 60, I really don't know, but he rides 6 days a week, and he's done that for decades. So, and he owns a bunch of different bikes, and he's a high-level mountain biker. You know, so he gets to have an e-bike so he can keep up that 5 or 6 rides a week, but not feel just absolutely buried in his fitness and just feel fatigued all the time. So, you know, even Zach and Tyler, who are beasts on the bike, it's nice to have a recovery day. And instead of taking your recovery day out on the road with no vert, no elevation gain, you can have a proper recovery right here in the canyon. You know, like my heart rate's 123 right now. That's still barely entering zone 2. Like barely. So, you know, it's kind of a neat way to get a recovery ride that's not boring or so mundane that you didn't use any fitness so you can recover that day, but you still get to come ride the fun trails. That's the aspect that I like most about it. Because as I've gotten older, I think I mentioned I'm 41, ride almost every day, you know, 5 days a week. It's nice to have a day off the bike when you're just charging and hammering so much, right? Okay. The next idea is convenience. My buddy Zach has a cousin named Matt. And Matt, he used to be a motocross racer. He's got a bunch of metal in his body from getting banged up and stuff and had some injuries, but he also has a very demanding job, as I understand. And so he's only got an hour, 1 hour. And you can get a good ride on a regular old pedal bike in an hour, but an e-bike, holy Moses. Like, so 2 days ago was my first ride on this, or maybe 3 days ago. And I did a ride that normally takes me about an hour and 45 minutes of moving time as per Strava. I have a link down below to Strava as well. And normally takes me an hour and 45 minutes of like focused effort, you know, that's real moving time. I got that same ride done in 57 minutes, under an hour. And look, I was hammering up the trails. So in terms of convenience, I mean, obviously you're gonna cover more ground on an e-bike. So that brings up that next idea, which is e-bikes are for the lazy and the elderly. Well, that may be partially true, but the reality is I rode one for the first time 3 or 4 days ago, 3 days ago, I think. And I did a ride that normally takes me an hour and 45 minutes. I did it in 57 minutes. And my heart rate, I got a very good workout that day. I think I had a max heart rate of 180. My average heart rate was 144 beats. To give you an idea, like threshold heart rate for me is 157 beats per minute. So 144 average, that's the perfect type, that's the type of ride I would do with any of my friends on a regular pedal bike. So what's the difference? The difference is I almost doubled my overall distance in the ride and terrain. So I got twice the ride, almost, not quite twice, but quite a bit more ride in less time. So, and you can still get an excellent workout on an e-bike. I'm not today because I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and I'm trying to be more conscientious on the single track here about other users on the trail and not just blasting everybody out of my way, you know, which, man, it's easy to do that on an e-bike. I totally get it. And so if you see someone on an e-bike, just remember, I mean, they're not jerks necessarily. They're just maybe kind of forgot that a lot of us are still on pedal bikes. So anyway, what a great way to get on the trail. This Pivot Shuttle is one of the smaller batteries or motors or both than a lot of the more common e-bikes I've seen out there. And I'm going to do a review on this coming like in a week or two after this video is posted. I just need more time on it, and so I wanted to share something about this bike because that's a blast. But I want to share something about this bike and bring you along for my kind of first impressions rides, because these first couple rides that I've had, I just want to capture it. It's incredibly fun. I'll talk about it on the downhill as well. Anyway, I've been talking to you almost the entire way up this climb, so this video is going to get kind of long. So I might turn it off here for a minute. We'll talk more on the downhill. But man, I mean, like this section, I'm not even in the highest mode. I'll put it in turbo or the high mode, whatever. I mean, it's crazy. You almost have to like stop pedaling. Oh, and that's one more thing I'm going to mention real quick. When I shift this thing, you're going so fast, it shifts so hard. I have Shimano, I have XTR Shimano drivetrain on here. I think, and I'm going to talk about this in the review that I do here in a week or two, I think I would go with SRAM transmission, because the SRAM transmission shifts slightly slower and smoother than the Shimano, just slightly smoother, but it's slower, and so it just kind of places the pedal, or the chain into each cog on that cassette just at the right time. And that's the first thing I noticed. In fact, here we got in this fire road real quick. Listen to this shifting. Listen right here. I don't know if you could hear that or not. It just like kind of clunks. It just kind of clunks. And that's the other thing right here. So I must have hit 20 miles an hour, and the battery has said, oh, sorry, not gonna help you out anymore. Or the motor said, sorry, not gonna help you out anymore. And you kind of feel this, it almost feels like drag. I'm sure it's not drag. I can't imagine Pivot would make the bike drag once you hit 20 miles per hour, but that's the governor or the limit on these Class A e-bikes, I think, is 20 miles an hour, right near 20 miles per hour. So when you feel that assistance, the motor assistance stop once you hit that 20 miles per hour, you really feel this like, oh man, where did all that wattage go? And that's where they want you to stop or to slow down, right? You got to use your own power beyond that point. And you notice that on the downhill. I'll talk about that when we get there. Anyway, I'll let you listen to the shifting here. Can you hear that? If you pedal really hard with the motor going very fast, you hear those gears shifting. And I'm just saying, I would think that the SRAM transmission would be a little more smooth and quiet compared to this Shimano, but I like Shimano overall better on all my other pedal bikes, so that's what I went for. Hindsight's 2020. Maybe I should have gone with transmission on this one. Anyway, let's head up to Jacob's Ladder. I'm gonna turn this off for a minute. Today's video sponsor is Lab Austere hip packs. They make the most incredible minimalist hip pack on the planet. It hangs low off of your back, so your back doesn't get all sweaty. Like most hip packs and backpacks ride on your back. This one hangs off of you kind of like a construction worker's tool belt. It's easy to grab a bottle, take a drink, and reholster it just when you're riding. It's super easy to use. Like I said, it's minimalist. It doesn't even weigh anything. You barely know it's there, but you just kind of bring along the essentials, you know, CO2, little Stan's dart, got my tube in here, a couple tools. It's incredibly minimalist. And that's the thing that I probably love very most about it, is it's just not even there when I'm riding. It's just hanging off of me like a construction worker's tool belt. Easy to grab my bottle. I've been recommending this pack for as long as they've reached out to me to sponsor this channel and tell people about their hip packs, and I love it. I have more people probably come up to me and tell me, hey, thanks for introducing me to the hip pack, than they do saying, hey, thanks for helping me find such and such a bike. So people love them. I don't need to say anything more about them. They're still offering 25% off to MTB Yum Yum viewers. Click the link down below over to the Lab Austere website where you can pick up a pack for yourself. you won't be disappointed. It's like the easiest thing I've ever recommended to anyone. And honestly, everybody needs one, especially because not every bike like the Pivot Shuttle has the water bottle up high. Like, see how this is like super easy to grab? Some bikes, it's like way down here or way down here, like underneath the shock, and it's a pain to get because your feet will come up and block like where you're trying to get it out. Anyway, world's easiest decision. Also makes a good gift. So 25% off using the link down below. Use promo code YUMYUM. So normally this section up here above Jacob's Ladder is just so loose and steep, and it's just a brutal climb. But man, on an e-bike, just kind of takes all your worries away. Anyway, I'm not going up it, but I just want to show it for a minute. So I'm gonna go over here and go down Jacob's. But man, what a bike. That's an experience, man. Even if you don't end up buying an e-bike, I mean, you gotta try one at some point. And like I said, this is a lightweight one. It almost doesn't even look like an e-bike. I mean, yeah, that down tube's quite a bit thicker. It's not that much thicker than bikes like Santa Cruz, you know, those have pretty big frames. And even my old Pivot Firebird that I used to have had a pretty big down tube like that. So, or a bottom tube. In any case, what a fun experience that is. That's awesome. All right, let's head down Jacob's here. First time I rode this down Jacob's, it was a little harsh feeling. I think I had too much air in my shock. So I fixed my settings and we're gonna give it another try here. Yeah, the bike kind of feels a little bit like a Switchblade. I would imagine it has really similar numbers to the Switchblade. The Pivot Switchblade, the pedal bike, that is. It feels a lot more damp than my normal pedal bikes, just because of the extra weight, I would think. I also turned the rebound down a little bit more than I would on my normal bikes because I feel like it was kind of popping all over the place. Today it feels a little bit more controlled. I actually wouldn't mind adding just a click more control on the fork. So a little bit more compression, and then I was all the way out, and then two from all the way open on the rear compression. Let's put that down to 4. And I think the rebound's fine. Let's try that. You know, setting this bike up has been a little bit more of a struggle than a regular bike. I think because of the added weight, and also this is not a standard Fox 36 from Fox suspension. It's the E version, like the e-bike version, which is, I think, has more. I don't know what it has, man. It just feels different, I'll tell you that much. All right, that's a little bit more control. Still, that front end kind of wants to go away from me a little bit. I turned the rebound down on the fork this morning for the ride. And the bike just feels a little different than a normal bike, but not too much. In fact, down on the smoother trails, I think I like it better than a regular bike, to be honest with you. Better than any regular bike. But up here, it can feel a little chattery. Wow. You can hear my rotor up there trying to slow me down. And I take it out of the fastest. I put it in the trail mode, the medium mode on the power here. You could probably just turn it off, I would imagine, but I just didn't want to step on it and have too much throttle, you know. Bike feels more balanced today than the other day. I rode it down this. There we go. Woo. And this is all water rutted out like crazy right now. Wow. Ah, make the turn. I'm in the sand. I don't know if you guys have seen this jump recently down here, but the lip is completely gone from this jump. I don't know how people are even clearing this pond right here. Kevin, you need to bring a shovel up here and fix the jump. It's like completely deteriorated. There's like almost no lip on that thing anymore. Okay, well that's Jacob's on an e-bike. So, fun. Whoa, hey, pretty fun. I've got some more sorting out to do. That's the other reason why I didn't want to do a review yet, is like, it's just a lot different bike. I can't just do a couple rides and do a review. I need to spend 2 weeks on this thing and really get to understand it better. Because you set it up a little different, because it weighs more and it has that different E fork. I'll find out what that E, what Fox is doing to make it an E specific fork instead of a standard Fox 36. I'm sure it's just like slightly more, maybe it still has a grip 2 damper in there, it says. So I don't know, maybe it just has something different about it. Anyway, I've got 77 PSI in that fork, and this might blow your mind, but in that Float X out back, I've only got 133 PSI in that thing. Crazy. Hello. Yeah, like right here, man, you can't believe how much ground you're picking up. It's bananas. I was gonna mention, I've been with people who are on e-bikes. You can hear their motor whining like the whole time. So I want you to listen to this on this kind of smooth section. I don't know if you can hear any whining or not, but this pivot shuttle is like dead quiet. Like you can hear like obviously a little bit of that motor, like very slightly, but I mean the wind blowing on my ears is significantly louder than the motor. But I've been with other people on e-bikes before. I don't know what models or brands, but their bikes are just like whining the whole time. So this bike only has 2 rides on it before today. So maybe because it's so new, I don't know, maybe it gets louder over time, or I'm not sure. Or maybe this is a better motor. I apologize, guys. I don't even know what battery or motor. That's why I'm not doing a review on this thing, guys. This is just a world that I do not know about. I might as well be reviewing which washer and dryer or which dishwasher you should buy. I just don't know about this stuff. So I'll obviously talk to you about how bike feels on the trail, because I know mountain bikes, but when it comes to the actual specific stuff, I will do a review here in a week or 2 once I've had time to digest like the information about this bike. Let's capture Rush on the e-bike. This is a smoother flow trail, and man, this bike is a lot of fun. Oh, it rained last night too, so this dirt is just about as good as you'll ever see it. So the first half of this trail is really pedally, even though it's a flowy downhill trail. It's kind of, I don't know, they should have built it maybe a little steeper. In any case, on an e-bike, you have so much, those 3 pedal strokes out of every turn are assisted by that battery, and it's just, it completely changes the way the whole first half of this trail rides. It's really fun. Okay, right, like for all this section right here, normally it takes a minute to get up to speed, and here you're just up to speed. There's an uphill jump that I normally can't really hit very well on a normal bike. There's another jump right there that's kind of tough to hit because I don't have enough speed coming out of those corners. So that's fun. Man, this dirt is so good. Okay. It's just so good. I know a lot of people are worried that if they got an e-bike, they wouldn't ride their pedal bike anymore. But literally almost all the guys that I ride with have e-bikes at this point, even young guys. And I just don't think, I don't think that's something you have to worry about, because it's different enough that I think you would miss your pedal bike. Like, you wouldn't just abandon your pedal bike because it's such a different experience, right? So I don't think that's a real concern. Man, this dirt, you guys, what a morning. Oh, like right there, those 3 pedal strokes out of that turn, you're just right back up to trail speed. And right there, man, that is a lot of fun. So like, I mean, that right there is a reason to get an e-bike, or at least that is a very different experience. I've ridden this trail hundreds of times. That's a very different experience I'm having right there, you know? Normally this trail, whoa, I did not get my back end around on that very well. Normally this trail, it just feels different, obviously, on a pedal bike, because you have all that power coming out of those turns with like 2 pedal strokes, 3 pedal strokes. That's awesome. Long sweeping turn, no power. I guess I'm over 20 miles per hour on that turn. This one I'm under for sure, yeah. That's so sick. And this bike, compared to the bigger e-bikes I've ridden, this feels much more like a normal pedal bike in terms of the way it feels, like jumping and stuff. Like, it doesn't feel like overly heavy. I'm not hitting that jump on this thing. I don't think I'm going fast enough right there, because the power kind of shuts off at 20 miles an hour, and I think I need a little bit more than that to hit that. Of course, Tyler and Zach would have hit it, and Kevin doesn't have an e-bike. He just has that Yeti SP140 lunch ride. Whoa. Tried to manual that section, and it was just felt a little off. Trying to think of what other little nuances to say about it. I mean, it feels pretty similar to, like, you know, an enduro bike. I think it's 150 millimeters in the fork on this thing, and like 130 or 135 in the rear. So all this section, I have no power assist, because I'm over the 20 miles per hour. So it's kind of a weird feeling. You think you're gonna have that power there like you normally do, but it's not there. Almost like it feels like the bike's turned off, but the governor just says no power for you, buddy. Yeah, like right here, no power. Every pedal stroke is just like a normal pedal bike through this whole section. Oh, the dirt's too good. I'm gonna have to go up and do another lap and not go to work today. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, on this trail, this bike feels amazing, like better than a pedal bike. It just, on Jacobs, the choppiness and the rockiness of Jacobs is a bit demanding a bit much for the bike. I'll be interested to go see what the head tube angle is on this thing. I think it's a 150 millimeter fork, but it gets a little bit overwhelmed on Jacobs. Oh, it's so good. I mean, I have like absolutely primo conditions. So, I mean, you can't ask for better dirt than this. Now I'll bet my heart rate's really high. Yeah, 165. Sorry, I was looking at my computer instead of driving. Oh, that's too fun. All right, well, thanks for coming on this ride with me today. This is the Pivot Shuttle SL, and man, what a bike. Woo, doggy. That is so fun. And to think I left my house 55 minutes ago. Oh, I mean, you can't hate this bike. It's just so freaking fun. And to think that my dad could come out here and do this with me, you know, like that's, at the end of the day, a lot of my friends who are fit and can ride and know how to ride, they own e-bikes, but the reality is my dad just needs to get one of these and get out here with me. I mean, my dad's 70, so he's got, I don't know how many more years until he's, you know, not as willing to try things like this, you know, and maybe that's right now. I don't know, but yeah, think about my dad. I used to do so much cool stuff with my dad. I would love to bring him up here. That would be so cool. All right, heading to work. I'll get a review on this up in the next week or two. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and go check out my library of mountain bike reviews. Thanks. I'll keep the camera on here for the last little bit just because it's kind of fun, but I won't talk. Freaking dirt is so good. Wow. Yeah. Wow. What a blast.